Welcome to Ball and Chain Podcast. This is episode 178. I am Mox Born again. I have with me It's My Angel. How are you doing?
Hi, I'm fine, thank you.
Excellent. Well, we have intro music. Yay! Woo! No woo.
Yay!
No woo.
Sorry.
No woo. Oh boy. So we've got quite a bit to talk about. We didn't record last. We did not record last week for a couple different reasons. One, I was having computer issues and trying to get that fixed. Two, I wanted to get some things done on the website and some things done for the podcast, i.e. the intros for both this podcast and Mana Drained. We will now have our own music, which will probably change over time. Have limited sound sampling. Oh God, that's not what I wanted to do. Oh God, full screen ad. Boom. Hide video. There we go. I'm pretty limited as to what I can make. I don't have any type of software. Just use what Google has for me. So that's that. But yeah. Let's see here. All right. So what are we going to talk about this week? We're going to talk about what we're playing on our gaming stack. We're going to talk about the 2 episodes of I almost said Lost. 2 episodes of Walking Dead that we saw, episode 2 and episode 3. And then we're going to talk about some Halo 5.
Okay.
Just a little bit about Halo 5.
We haven't got too far into
We really
it
haven't
just
got,
yet.
yeah, we really haven't got to. I put about 5 hours in it collectively, and that's about it. And then the hour and a half that we played, 2 hours that we played yesterday. So
We played more than that yesterday.
did we?
We made it through 2 campaign storylines and then
That's true. Okay.
a couple.
Well, we'll talk about that. So as far as our gaming stack goes, what minus Halo 5? What are you playing?
Well, nothing really. You're going to probably mention The Walking Dead phone app,
Mm-hmm.
which I haven't done too much on the last couple of days, but
The past
It's
2
not-
weeks, you've played quite a bit
yeah,
of it.
it's not. It's interesting. I don't even really know how to explain it. It's kind of, well, it's not even resource management. It's not in that way. It's leveling up your characters, exploring different parts of The Walking Dead. You start off in Terminus, so I don't even really know how to categorize it.
Well, the combat's like turn-based, like grid kind
It
of thing,
is,
which
yeah.
is really neat.
Yeah, it's an alright game. I haven't really.
Can you play multiplayer? Like, if I were to download it,
Once
could
you get to a certain level, I think you can join like not a guild, but they call it something similar to a guild and do like weekly challenges and stuff. So there's more to it that I just haven't got into just yet.
Gotcha. Okay, that's cool. I did not complete my Halo campaign before Halo 5 released. I really tried. Halo 1 through 4 on Legendary by yourself is extremely difficult and very frustrating. I got all the way up to Halo. I just about finished Halo 2. And then there was a group of 4 of us who we completed like 3 or 4 levels in Halo 3, I believe. That's the one. Yeah, Halo 3. So I don't know. Since I didn't actually get a chance to finish it, I did go and find some really nice YouTube pages that outlined the Halo 1, 2, 3, and 4 story really well. And then I came across 343, and they put out a whole bunch of like 2, 3, 4-minute videos to kind of get you caught up on what Halo 5 or what's going on before Halo 5. So not only what happened in the games, but what's happened prior to the games leading up to it. So it kind of explains quite a bit. So if you go to halowaypoint.com and click on Universe, like there's a whole bunch of Halo 101. It's the series called Halo 101.
Which I think you kind of need because I feel like, well, I guess we will
We want to just jump right into it and talk about it now?
We might as well.
Yeah, let's go for it.
To answer the watcher's question here, no, we're not new to the Halo series.
We just play the games.
Right. I started playing Halo with Halo 2, I think, when we first met. And it has grown. It's been a while since I've picked up Halo. Like you said, you went back to try to refresh yourself and play some of the old games again.
Well, we've put together each time a game's come out. We've played through
through the campaign together.
Right.
Yeah.
So,
but I think even having it, and like I said, it's been a while since playing the last Halo campaign for me. So remembering exactly how the story goes, but is it's hard for me to recall everything. But I feel like this particular game, granted, we've only played the first 2 levels in this campaign so far. I feel like there's a lot if you don't do any research, if you don't go back and read the Halo books, if you haven't watched any of the shows, I feel like you're missing a lot
of story.
Right? There's a lot that.
Well, I mean,
you're like, okay, now who are all these Guardians? Like, what's going on? Like, if you just play the games, you're, like you said, one of them is an ODST.
Well, it was an ODST. Yeah.
Right.
Now he's a Spartan.
Well, what was in the is in the game ODST.
Oh, right.
So, but I think if you just play the games and you don't do any research, it's a little hard to follow where they are in the beginning of this Halo 5 story.
Well, and the thing is, like especially with and it happens in all the games. If you go from one to the next, there's like a bit of information that's lost in translation. But just going from Halo 4 to Halo 5, at the end of Halo 4, spoiler alert, Chief comes back to, I want to say Infinity or one of the UNSC's ships.
Which I don't recall that part. I just remember it ending with that bright light, and Cortana is being absorbed into this or dying somehow.
Right,
that's
but
all I recall.
it shows him coming back and walking through and past all the Spartans, and that's when and the guys training to be Spartans and things like that, and that's when you kind of see like, oh hey, there's more than just Chief and all that stuff. So like, and he does the whole thing where his armor gets taken off, and like, for a brief moment you see his eyes or whatever underneath his helmet. Yeah. He's got brown hair, brown eyes.
I do not recall this.
I'm Master Chief. No, I'm just kidding.
Okay.
No, but like from that is literally the end of Halo 4, and then Halo 5 kicks off, and like, he's with his blue team, which apparently is his team of Spartans, which has been, I guess, MIA for the past 4 games.
Right.
So I mean, that's fine that they bring. I mean, obviously they want to bring in the fact that you can play 4-player co-op, so they've got to have some way of connect. So you're not stupid Spartan 2 or stupid Spartan 3. You actually have a name and a backstory and all that stuff. So that's kind of neat. I just wish that they would explain that kind of thing, which they very well could. I mean, they allude to some of it in Halo in the first episode, or the first, I said episode, holy cow, because it's kind of like an episode. The cutscenes are a lot like episodes. But the first cutscene, one of the Spartans, and forgive me, I don't know their names just yet, but one of the Spartans on Blue Team says, I haven't seen Chief like this in a long time, doing back-to-back missions, alluding to the fact that they've basically gone on these long campaigns where they're doing, knocking out mission after mission. And part of me thinks it's because Master Chief is looking for Cortana. That's why he's just nonstop. Like, I'm all business. We need to do this. Okay, we're done with that, and we're going to go complete that mission, and then we're going to complete that mission, and basically until he finds Cortana. Which, if he's been having like these like visions of and like voices in his head about Cortana, then that's pretty much driving him nuts. And then in the second episode,
he wasn't in the first.
Yeah, he wasn't in the first one. I guess it'd be the second one. So we played so you play as
a whole different team.
Right. So you play as the Master Chief and his team, and then there's another group, Osiris, which is Locke.
Level.
Yeah, so Locke's team. So that's another set of Spartans. And I did end up reading a little, and there is a ton of Halo lore. Like, people say that Halo has no story. No, it has a story. You just got to dig it up. Like, you can't get the whole story. You only get like the Cliff Notes version by playing the games.
Which, in a way, I mean, that started that way with Bungie, and it's kind of that way with Destiny. I mean,
Oh,
if you
God,
look,
yeah.
which Destiny's even worse for it. You know, their storytelling it's gotten better with the latest updates, but it was even worse. You know,
Right.
it wasn't there, but you had those
The
not the Cliff
Grimoire
Notes, but-
things.
right? That you had to go on and read.
Yeah.
So like,
If you'd like to
there's
learn
a
more about this, visit our website. No, I really don't want to do that. I want to keep
that's
shooting
why
people in
I'm
the face.
playing. Well, and that's I don't necessarily like game for combat. I like game for story and being immersed in the story. I don't want to have to stop what I'm doing and go and read it.
You're in
Like,
the middle of the battlefield. Ho!
Wait a
I
minute.
need to read this. Stop shooting everybody.
right. So, yeah, I don't know. I don't know if it's a Bungie thing. Clearly I think is part. Although this is 343, so.
Right.
And it's still kind of it's still even more so that way. You feel like there's a lot of story there. The graphics are beautiful. The cutscenes are beautiful, and there's plenty of them.
Oh, yeah.
But
I feel like
you still don't have
if they
full
could-
knowledge of what's going on.
if they could turn I don't say this about normal games, but if they could turn Halo into an every year or every 18 months kind of game, I think there would be a lot more people that are happy with the series. Like just going off and telling story, and it doesn't have to be like a constant timeline. You could like say like, while Master Chief was in doing Halo 1 through 3, what were these other 3 Spartans doing? They couldn't just been sitting around like, well, we gotta wait for Chief to get back before we can do anything.
Well,
I mean,
and didn't
obviously they were
they-
doing something.
I mean, and I remember at the beginning of Halo 1, wasn't it like they were opening him out of like this
Right.
deep freeze, like
so maybe
had
they were
been-
just sitting.
almost like, well, yeah, but almost like, at least to
Like a
me, it
secret-
almost felt like he's the last of these guys. We've preserved him, and he's the last one there is, and that's kind of how it
It comes out. That's how it felt, but it's definitely after reading more into it. That's not the story, like the background from this stuff. So like, what I found out is through minimal research, and this I very well could be wrong, but this is what I've uncovered is that there's been 4 types of Spartan projects. Spartan projects 1, 2, 3, and 4. Chief was part of Spartan Project 2, Spartan 2 or whatever, where they basically abducted these children that met a certain genetic qualifications that they were going to be, because they're going to receive combat training and basically genetic altering treatments. And so the UNSC and Dr. Halsey was the group that was going to basically select these guys. So they said, okay, we need to have like this set of circumstances or this set of blah 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 to bring people in. So they went in and just took kids, 4 to 6, blah blah blah, and started that. And like the like succession rate was like 50% or something. Like 50% people, like, of these kids were dying or horribly deformed and did not take to the treatments or whatever. I feel like this is something we need to know. Like, they should have told this story in Halo 1. Like, hey, yeah, you know what I mean? Or something like that.
You mean like through flashbacks of
Right. I think that would, I mean, if they were to redo Halo 1 and actually redo it, not just up the graphics, but like tie in story elements or have, does Master Chief have flashbacks, or does he have like visions or whatever? Like, they talk about how they, the Spartan 2s were extremely depressed. Like, they showed like extreme, depression, like signs of depression and aggression in front, basically in certain times. Like, there wasn't like constant, but like, they were really horrible about socialization and like, communicating and stuff like that outside of combat.
Well, there really is too much like fiction or story to put in a game necessarily.
Right.
And this isn't meant to be. I mean, that kind of story you get in RPGs.
Yeah.
And this is more meant to be. This started out at least as being a third-person shooter. It wasn't
Action
meant to
adventure,
be
yeah.
heavy on the story, but they created this universe. People became interested in it, and so I think more story grew out of that post Halo 1.
Right.
And at least I think so. Like I think that's kind of how it all went down.
I don't know. I mean, there is a ton. There's a ton of information that's out there. The one thing that they changed around, so like last night when we were playing, and we had to, it wasn't a rescue mission. It was a find and extract mission. Like we were trying to find criminal Halsey, and you were like, "She's a criminal," and I'm like, "I guess so." Like that seems to be like I know who Halsey is. I know that she and Cortana and Chief and the whole Spartan project are all interrelated.
We've seen her in other games,
Right, and other movies and things like that. But like,
when
when did she become a criminal?
Why is she with the Arbiter?
Right.
Like, how are they? Like,
and did they just kill off the Arbiter? Because if they did, like, that's
Because wasn't he working with Chief and essentially?
Yeah,
like,
he
a
was.
Good guy
Yeah, he was
point?
working with UNSC, and they created truce or whatever and stuff like that.
So what's going on here?
Right. So there's a lot that I think we missed between 4 and 5. So. And none of the videos that I found have like filled that gap of Arbiter. I mean, they call him by his name now, which I don't know what the hell it is.
Like Zeus, not Zeus, but
Zulu?
it starts with a Z or
No,
something.
it's not yeah, something. I don't know, but yeah, and I like that they've introduced the alien language finally. Five iterations later, instead of the alien speaking perfectly good English.
Oh, really?
Yeah, the one
know
girl
this.
on the Spartan team was translating for us when we were going. I think it was on Spartan, on not Osiris, but Blue Team was translating as we were walking through.
I don't remember that.
That was just last night.
You have to remember I'm playing from far back on a small screen, so it's not like I can really see little text.
Gotcha. Okay. All right. Anyway, so I mean, so far graphically, the game is fantastic. The loss of split screen, I can see.
Extremely frustrating.
Well, it's extremely frustrating, but I'm kind of glad. I mean, look at the visuals that we got because of it. I seriously doubt
that. It was
that
the experience of being able to sit together and play together.
Right.
We've now lost, which just kind of makes me mad.
Well, we can always move Xboxes around and stuff like that if we need to do that, but that's creates a hassle.
Mm-hmm.
But anyway, the visuals are outstanding. Sound is really, really good. I mean, we had to turn the audio, the music down a little bit so we could hear the chatter on the comms. But all that, I mean, that was really good. So the first 2 missions that we played, so we got to play as Locke's team, we got to play as Chief's team. So that was. Do you feel like it's better than the Arbiter Chief duo, like in Halo 2? That was kind of like it seemed detached. And although we haven't really got into the whole, Locke is hunting down Chief yet, because like literally at the end of the second chapter is when Blue Team kind of breaks off and they're like, you know what, we're going to disobey orders and we're going to this planet. I can't remember what
Meridian.
It's called. Meridian. We're going to Meridian, and that's where I'm like, oh, okay, well, this is where Locke steps in and hunts down Chief, and all that stuff. The other thing that I found out through the videos is Locke's family was killed in Halo 2 because Chief couldn't stop the slip space thing or whatever. And that's one of the reasons why that Locke went into the Spartan 4 program, because in Spartan 4 program he was you can volunteer to be put into it. So they weren't abducting kids anymore. They got a little more ethics put into the program, and now like Buck was a part of the ODST drop team, the Hell Jumpers. So he and Locke were both, they both volunteered to go into the Spartan 4 program. So I'm hoping that there's some push and pull between Locke and Master Chief for the death of his parents, even though it wasn't technically Chief's fault, but he blames him, which is kind of silly. So what do you think of the multiplayer? Let's talk about multiplayer for a little bit. We only played a few.
I played 2 games. It feels fine. I mean, it seems essentially the same. I know there's a lot of differences with it. The game actually calls out weapon drops, like, you know,
That's nice.
snipers up now, you know, and it actually calls that out. I still have to learn, you know, I've only been through 2 maps. I still have to learn them. One of which was a remake from a previous Halo, and I can't think what it was. It's the one that had the center structure and that has the elbow that comes down and had the grav lift that took you over.
Oh yeah, that's from Halo 4, I think.
Yeah, but
Or had like the rocks on the side with the sniper tunnel or whatever. And yeah, I think
Right.
that was from Halo 4. I didn't play a lot of Halo 4. I've come to realize, like, we went back and played multiplayer, and I don't like
don't really remember.
I don't remember. Like, I remember some of the base maps, like from the actual release of the game, but like other than that, like I was like, whoa, what's this? I don't remember this game, like this map, blah blah blah. You know what I mean? But
Yeah.
weapons seem really good. I
Yeah.
like the battle rifle. Battle rifle's back. The pistol's huge.
DMR is very powerful.
I feel like the DMR,
maybe a
if you
little overpowered.
miss a shot, you're done. Like, I feel like you can 3-shot kill. I think it's 3 or 4-shot kill somebody, like headshots, or 3 chest, 1 head. I think it's smooth sailing. But like, if you miss that 4-shot, that's the window that like the pistol and the battle rifle come in and can like swoop in and pick off a kill. But it's you know,
I don't know. I think
team
I
shooting wise,
still
it's
have
really
to.
good.
I still have to play more.
Right.
You know, to really know like what levels are, what they're called,
like,
which ones I like, which ones I don't like.
I like the change that they did to the power ups. So like the overshield, you actually have to hold the right bumper or basically the activate button, like whatever you do to pick up a weapon. You have to actually do that to pick it up, and he picks
Right.
up like
And,
this
like,
little
puts it
cylinder
on
thing. He like
himself.
sticks it on himself. Like, that's so cool, and you
Yeah.
can do it while sprinting.
So it's more than just like running into a.
A little blob, you know.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's like you can do it like you like sprint through it, and if as long as you're holding that button, he just and
Yeah.
then active camo or whatever. It
It is a little more.
immersive. It's
Yeah.
it's really sweet. I like it.
um,
I like that mall map, the one with like the streets. It's got the couple of the cars down in the bottom, like the level one. It kind of reminds me of the turf, like the aesthetic of turf.
Not having double jump bothers me. I know you've got this little like
Double jump.
booster thing.
You had double jump before?
You used to be able to jump twice. Yes.
Really? I don't remember. I
Unless
don't know.
I'm thinking of the jetpack, but I swear.
I know
used
you
to
could
be
do
able
the
to double
jetpack.
jump.
The jetpack, yeah. So that's something that they've altered. So you no longer have like a loadout where you pick like weapons and abilities and stuff like. Everybody has sprint. You can pick up camo.
But I swear there was always a double jump.
Everybody's got a
maybe I'm
thruster
wrong.
pack.
It's been, like I said, it's been a long time since I've played a Halo game, but I could swear you could double jump before.
I don't know.
I don't either.
Everybody has a thruster pack, which is really sweet. I still haven't got used to the Spartan Slam thing yet.
Yeah.
I haven't
kind
had.
of like a ground pound.
Yeah, I
or
really haven't had a chance to
use
utilize it. Like, I've never in the opportunity where like, hey, there's somebody right there that's not paying attention. Rather than wasting bullets, I can ground pound it. You know, just start
your
shooting.
brain just doesn't think that way yet.
Right. And I think it's a weird button combo too. And like the way I've got my controller set up, in order to like move the radical, I have to like take my left hand off of my thumbstick and go to the other thumbstick because I'm holding down B. So it's a weird stretch.
And I think it'll take. It's something you either will or will not use, but if you're gonna use it, it's gonna take some thought and like actual trying,
Right.
and before it becomes like second nature.
I used it a lot in campaign, only because like the first level in the campaign that you have the ability to do it is very vertical. Like there's like very like top tier, like you can go here, level 3, level 4, and they're all like there's always a ground level where you can see you're overlooking like your enemies. The thruster pack, I can see that becoming a pretty awesome ability. Especially if you're not so much like with sniping, like people sniping you, because usually it's like one shot kill, but like in a battle rifle duo, if you're down one or two shots, you can boost out of the way or boost into cover, which is nice. I've used it quite a bit with like grenades. Like someone throws a grenade last second, you can swoop out of the way. And the fact that you can do it directionally, it's not just like boost up or whatever, or boost back. It's whichever way you're walking, you boost that way, which is pretty sweet. The little melee thing is pretty cool too. When you're like sprinting and you press the melee button and you kind of do like that shoulder charge. That's pretty sweet. And in the campaign, you can like bust down walls and stuff like that. That's awesome. That is pretty sweet. Hopefully they do some multiplayer maps with that on there. That would be pretty sweet. Bungie did some where there was not shoulder charge ones, but like you could like shoot certain things and it would change like the course of the map or whatever. Like in like Zanzibar, for instance, and like the one with the giant fan.
Oh, the
you
sword
could
in the middle of
yeah,
it?
you could shoot down the bridge and the bridge would fall, would collapse.
Right.
So, or things like that. So that, I mean, there's a couple different examples of Bungie doing it. So hopefully 343 picks that up and puts that in their games. What else? I think that's about it. We'll probably actually review it. Probably not next week. Maybe the week after. I don't know. We'll see. We'll see how much we get in this week. So let's talk about Walking Dead. So let's talk about
Spoiler alert.
let's talk about episode
you
2
haven't-
first. Let's talk about episode 2 first. Do you remember what episode 2 was?
Yeah.
Okay. So episode 2 was the one with just the.
But listen, if you've not watched episode 2
Right,
of Walking Dead,
spoilers.
2 or 3 of Walking Dead, you may want to stop listening for a bit.
Right. So, So episode 2 is just the Alexandrians and the people that stayed back while Rick and his crew were like
Redirecting the zombies that were in the quarry.
right. So we didn't have any of them in this episode. It was literally just the B team,
Right.
which is I thought was really sweet. It was a very interesting episode. We got to see the wolves charge in, and we got an answer for what the giant horn was.
Right.
So
Yeah, I thought it was interesting because at the very beginning of the story, well, not the very beginning, the beginning of the story, Carol is, playing Susie Homemaker, talking about her recipe for the soda canned ham, and then starts the action where she's at home. She sets the timer on her casserole, her trash can casserole, basically, and thus starts the attack pretty much as she's watching out the kitchen window. She sets the timer, the attack with the wolves begin, and at the very end of the episode, the timer dings. It's an hour long. I think it was an hour. The casserole cooked for an hour. I think.
I didn't
or
even
something along
realize
those lines.
that. Like
Yeah.
I
And
knew
Carl
she
takes
put
the casserole out.
Yeah.
So that basically that entire exactly how long in real time that attack played out.
I didn't even realize. I knew that she put something in, and I knew he took something out, but I didn't realize the two
That's
were
the
one
same
and the
casserole.
same. Huh. That's hilarious. Okay. I thought it was a really good episode. You see Carol kind of step out of her, like,
What do you
I'm
think
just.
about Enid? Do you think she's part of the wolves?
I don't think she is. I really don't.
I kind of do.
You kind of do.
She's been on her own for a long time, and obviously JSS just survived somehow. She told Carl that before she left, but we know that a lot of stuff went down. Her parents were killed. She survived somehow, and we saw her come to the city.
Mm-hmm.
Whether she came to that city on her own as part of a wolf group, you really don't know. I mean, you do see some of her backstory, but you don't see all of it clearly. The wolves attack, and then she feels the need to leave. Clearly, during the middle of an attack, I would think you would want to bunker down.
Well, here's my
unless she
thing.
thinks she's safe. I mean, she did mention being safer, not in a large community.
Right.
So maybe she's not, but
I have two counterpoints. First is what is it?
just survive somehow.
Just sort of the JSS thing, just survive somehow. I think that is telling to her wanting to leave. Obviously, there's people out there killing everybody, and she's like, they're just people, blah blah blah, and they're killing. Her like instincts of survival is just run and hide. Like I think that's just what her just run away from the evil that's happening, blah blah
Right.
blah. But number two is I don't like that mentality. Really, it doesn't like the wolves are a very confusing bunch of people. Like in this episode, you see them like psychotic and like almost kind of like a cult following, like insane group of people.
Yeah, the one that I believe Carol wanted to kill, but Morgan didn't, and they had him down on the ground, and he was muttering something about
You don't
you don't
sur-
belong here.
Right. We don't belong here. Blah blah blah.
Right. Basically, this world is no longer meant for sane, rational human beings. It's a world that's meant for the walkers, and they're cleansing the world of
Humans.
communities. I think basically. I mean, think about the fact that we've seen the fact that they tore down the community that Noah's parents were living in.
Right.
And that was supposedly when Noah left. That was supposedly like a safe, kind of walled-in, somewhat community, kind of like Alexandria. But the wolves had clearly crashed that down and taken over and killed everybody there too. So I don't know if they're taking, basically, they have a community of some sort. They all carve the W's into their foreheads and follow a similar thinking pattern of each other. So clearly they have a community. So they're not against all communities, just all but theirs.
Right.
I don't really understand them myself, but then again, they're not rational people, so you can't understand them.
Right. So I mean, the couple things that I was reading online was these are like insane. Absolutely, they've gone insane people. Well, they can't be that insane because of the traps that they've set, that we've seen that they've set in the past, which require a lot of thinking, like using walkers as a means to, trap people or kill people, blah blah blah. That can't be done by an insane person. Like, it's not possible. Now, someone that's like someone with a criminal mind can do that, which that's very well what these guys could be. They just are basically criminals with a cause, like cleansing the, like a cult with criminal mentality. But I don't think she's part of it. I really don't. Like, they don't seem like the type that would infiltrate a community, do recon, and then form an attack. Like, you know what I mean? The part that Enid doesn't do herself any good is when she sneaks out of the encampment. Where does she go?
And because she's getting out of there, whether that's just to feel like, because she spent so much time alone, that she wants to get out there and feel that, and
right, eat turtles.
Like our
poor turtle.
Like our group, you've seen them go outside because they want to keep their skills sharp, because they know, like,
right.
Yeah, we are here. It is safe for right this moment, but that doesn't mean it's always going to be safe.
Right.
And clearly they're now seeing that
right.
in the wolves attack, and in the fact that, sooner or later these walkers were going to escape this quarry, and it's been kind of keeping them protected up until this point. So, they were right in keeping their skills set sharp.
I don't know.
Whether or not she's kind of subscribing to that same practice, or she does have some group somewhere that she's been feeding intelligence to.
Right, that's what I'm saying. She's not doing herself any favors. Like,
right.
From us, the audience, she's not doing any favors by, she's basically feeding that notion that she's with the wolves. But I think it's just what we saw last season when she ran into, or when Carl followed her. Mm-hmm. She was just out, not really exploring, but just out trying to get out of the walls of Alexandria, because
it feels
let's face
normal.
it, yeah, it's not like, outside these walls there is no normal. Like, the normal is there's dead people walking all over the place.
Right. And when you're trying to, I don't know, trick yourself into thinking, oh, we can live here like nothing's ever happened.
Right.
No, that things have happened. The world has changed.
I still think you can live like that, but you need to have some, like what Rick and his group were talking about way back when they first got to Alexandria. Everyone needs to have a gun. Everyone needs to know how to use the gun and defend yourself, because, like you saw in the first episode, where the Alexandrians didn't know how to defend themselves. I mean, the one guy had a shovel, like a 6-foot shovel, and walkers came in and he threw the shovel down and like tried to melee the freaking zombie. Like, really, dude? Like, you want to get within, arm's reach of this thing that wants to bite you? Like,
you have to have a respect and understanding for what the world is. It's,
right.
It's nature, and zombies. You say zombies are nature. I mean, but they are. They're a wild animal, wild animalistic kind of creatures at this point.
I feel like Eugene needs to step up and he needs to get a video camera of some sort and make like how-to videos. Like, this is how you take care of a zombie. He would be the great person to do that. Or maybe he have someone like piggyback with him. Like someone will be his camera guy and he'll just like interview people. Like, this is how you take care of a walker if you only have a shovel. You don't throw the shovel down because this is what happens. And then like, you know what I mean?
You can spray them with fire hoses.
Right, you can spray them with fire hoses and watch their skin peel off. And if you have access to a firearm, only use it in the last ditch effort.
Right.
Like if
You're
you
gonna draw more noise and more zombies your way.
right. So that was episode 2. Episode 3 this past Sunday was a little bit different.
And pretty controversial.
Very controversial.
We're back to following just Rick's group, who's on the road trying to redirect these walkers
Right.
away from Alexandria. The plan had failed horribly
Well-
when the wolf attack basically sent a truck flying into the walls of Alexandria. Someone was dead, laying on the horn, and it pulled all the not all of them, but a good portion of the zombies off the road and directly towards Alexandria. So we've got we still have Daryl, Abraham, and Sasha driving the main herd of zombies away, and then you have Glenn, Rick, a good section, group of Alexandria people,
And what's her name?
Michonne, trying to start a fire, trying to start another distraction to bring
The rest of the
the
herd.
people that the zombies that broke off back into the group, the main
Right.
group, which that plan also fails
This is an
horribly.
episode of failure. But can I just say that I love this like back and forth between the two stories, like not stories, but the two like the time like what's going on in episode 1 in episode 2 was the same thing, that same timeline.
We've had 3 hours of television show, and it's all been in the same day.
Right, almost in the same hour. Well, not the same hour, but same day.
Yeah, however long, because they said it would take 7 hours to drive for. How long did they say it was going to take them to drive 20 miles
I don't remember.
to get them 20 miles out of town? It was quite a while. I think it was like
Yeah.
8 hours or something like
Yeah.
that, going at the regular human speed. So obviously they haven't reached that point yet.
Yeah, they said they only were driving for 5 miles,
Yeah.
so we're not even close. So overall, I enjoyed this episode. It brought up a lot of conversation about Rick playing the role of the governor, is starting to fall into the role of the governor and blurring that line between, leader and criminally insane, like
Dictator,
dictator.
kind of.
Yes. I disagree with that. I feel like he's got a hold on himself, and I feel like he has a hold of the situation. There was at one point where you could see him falling into that role, like when back at the prison, before we got to like Farmer Rick, where he was just like, you know what, I don't want this. I don't want to be the leader anymore. Like, clearly you guys have got other plans, but like I don't think we'll get to that point anymore.
And I think why they're saying some of that is, some of the Alexandria people were talking bad about him because he is the one formulating these plans. He was the one that came up with the whole plan to redirect these zombies. And not everyone thought that was the best laid out plan. But also, you see them on the road here, and Rick's discussing who needs to go where, how they're going to split up to accomplish this new plan of redirecting the zombies back to the road. And he overhears Glenn and Michonne and Rick talking, and Rick says, you guys we're not all going to make it back to Alexandria.
But make sure you do.
Right. Make sure you, basically Michonne and Glenn do. If these other Alexandrians die, they die. They're weak. You know what? They get crippled, leave them behind, basically, is kind of what he's saying to them. And Michonne and Glenn, they're not going to hear it. They don't leave anyone behind. You see them carry the guy with the bullet, the leg that was hit by the bullet,
The team killing fucktard.
yeah, and the girl with the twisted ankle. You see them carry them through this entire episode, and
Which those two situations, okay, so the one guy that got shot, not his fault, but he was shot by an Alexandrian who doesn't know how to shoot a gun. So first of all, we shouldn't give him a gun. We should give him a stick. And the chick that twisted her ankle, she was running through the woods like an idiot and tripped. That's her fault. Leave her behind. Like,
well, but the thing that they're saying that too, Old Rick would have tried to save everybody and anybody. He would have at the very beginning of season 1. Rick would have done that.
but this season, Rick knows that if you don't have a good core group of people, like what's back at the Alexandria, mass murder is going to happen.
Right. Everyone's going to get tied down with people that can't handle themselves, but I think some training these people haven't had the opportunity to learn.
How many people are left though? Like the wolves,
Well,
literally.
they don't know that the wolves have gone in and killed everybody yet.
Well, I know they don't know that, but like when they get back,
Right.
I want to know how many people are still left in Alexandria. I mean, I know we've got all of the group for like Carl and Rick's group is still alive in there. We just lost
not many Alexandrians.
Not many.
Jesse, I think, is still there. And her kids.
Right. The mayor, quote unquote mayor, and her son is still there.
Yeah, but not many.
I mean, there's probably a few random people,
Handful.
but I mean, at this point,
the doctor chick.
quote unquote doctor chick, the psychologist who's trying to perform surgery that can't handle, like really is way
Can't
over
handle
her head.
stress, right?
Way over her head.
So
even Eugene survived. So if you died, like you're pretty terrible at life.
But the biggest controversy over this episode is about whether or not.
Spoiler.
Yeah.
If you haven't seen the episode, this is your chance to duck out now. This is the last thing that we're going to talk about before the show ends, so you won't miss anything. We're going to end on this spoiler. So if you haven't seen it, this is your chance to get the hell out.
Right. So basically, whether or not Glenn is dead.
So what ended up happening is Glenn and not Noah, Nicholas, the other name. Glenn and Nicholas break off to go set fire to the feed store.
And the reason is, I guess, because feed is so finely ground that it is easily combustible.
Right. Which, when they get to the actual building, it's already burned down. So there goes that plan. Meanwhile, Michonne is with the bullet wound dude, a guy that got bit, and the chick that twisted her ankle, and then the other guy with the glasses. Like, it's two guys that can like handle them. Well, Michonne that can handle herself, and some other dude that likes to complain a lot, and then 3 injured people. They're in a pet store, so that group is split off. I'll talk about the. Do you want to talk about the death, or do you want me to talk about the death?
Doesn't matter. I can talk about it.
Okay, so Michonne's group ends up staying in there, and they're waiting to see the fire from Glenn and them to say it's clear to go, which I don't know why we won't all just stay. I guess they wanted to bandage somebody up or whatever. Anyway, so while they're in the store, they start hearing this like the pounding on this door. So Michonne opens it up, and like all of a sudden 3 or 4 zombies come walking out, and they take care of them. And someone's like, "Man, that was a lot of noise." And they look out the front, and they see just the giant herd that's coming towards them. And at this point, they haven't seen the fire yet, but they're just like, you know what? It's now or never. Like, this is the only exit.
Right. We've got to get ahead of this herd.
Right.
We can, zombies are slow. We know that if they're down the block, we need to get out of here. Otherwise, we're going to be overrun.
Right. So they get up and they kick the door down and just blast the zombies that are in front of the door and start heading down and that's the one girl that twisted. The one chick falls and she gets trampled and eaten. And granted, the one people didn't mercy kill her. And you did mention that they didn't mercy kill her, but they didn't
mercy kill anybody.
Right, but now that I'm thinking about it, is
true. It would create more attention to the people who are running away.
Right, but if you only have so much ammo, like I'm thinking that they didn't take a lot of ammo on this expedition. there was a group of them that was like, okay, we're just going to walk the zombies out, and
And
that's
it wasn't supposed to happen that day, but the truck fell off the ledge.
Right,
It was
so-
supposed to be just a scouting mission,
So
basically.
chances are they probably don't have a lot of ammo with them.
Right.
So even firing one bullet might be one bullet too many, and she's gonna die anyway. But you know, if she had her own gun, she could have, you know. Granted, I don't think I would be. I don't know if I'd be able to do that or not. Maybe if the pain got so bad from them tearing me out, I would just
not
let
think
it
about
go. But I don't think like, oh my god, I'm laying down and there's a whole bunch of zombies on top of me. Like, no, I don't think I could do that. It'd have to wait until like the pain got so bad that I don't know.
I think the initial pain would be bad enough.
Falling down?
No.
God, do
but
not fall
the
down with a
first
gun in your
bite,
hand.
Come on.
Oh, the
Like,
first
they're
bite.
ripping your guts out of you. Like, seriously.
So then they run off, run into a dead end, the first dead end, mind you, and they have to climb a fence. Well, everyone knows that if you've been shot in the leg, you're not gonna. Or no, he did.
He
He
made
made
it
it. It's the
over.
guy that was bit in the shoulder.
Yeah.
Him and Michonne almost didn't
They were the
make
last
it.
because they were boosting the injured leg guy over the
Oh, yeah,
fence,
that's
so they were
right.
the last ones to go over.
And they didn't mercilessly kill him either, which she could have sworded him, but she didn't.
Bad thing is his note didn't get to his
His
wife.
note did not get to his wife.
That's sad.
And she rubbed off the note on her arm about, we'll get you home, because we definitely did not get you home.
No.
That was like fail number 3 of this episode. Okay, so take it away.
Okay, so while that's all going down, and they're noticing that the feed store never caught fire, it shows Glenn and Nicholas, who this entire episode, it basically looks like he's kind of got some post-traumatic stress disorder kind of thing, or, you know, like some serious heavy guilt weighing on him. They see, okay, what we already know about Nicholas is that he is... in the past, he's been on runs. He was part of a group that would go to the city and collect supplies, and that we know that this group left behind people. You know, stuff would get tough, and they would just leave their friends behind to get killed instead of trying to find a way to get them out of sticky situations. So they run across actually one of the bodies who is now a zombie, kind of trapped under a car. And he says, this was a 19-year-old. His name was this, this happened. And he actually takes him out, which shows really a lot of growth in this character. The fact that he was willing to do that when before it was fight or flight kind of thing. Like,
Right.
he just ran. So that was big. But the whole episode, we see him kind of zoning out. Like he wouldn't be hearing anything. He'd be totally in his own little kind of world, and they'd have to snap him back in.
And deer and headlights. Take
Right.
a look.
And so all this is going on. They're trying to get ahead of the horde. The horde's catching up to them, and Nicholas is the only one who knows the city, knows where Alexandria is, knows where the feed store is, and is trying to navigate Glenn around. And they're on a really tight time frame because this horde is kind of closing in on them.
Hold on. So, like, the rest of the group don't know how to get back to Alexandria?
Well, the
know it's, like,
Alexandrians
west, don't
might, yeah, but I think because Glenn kept looking to Nicholas to say, okay, where do we go now? You know, and
I think that was more for, like, navigating that city. Like, I don't think it was more...
possibly.
Yeah.
But-
Because Nicholas has been there before, so I think that's
Right.
why they were all looking to him. Like, okay, where's this feed store at? Where's a
Right.
good place to hold up to bandage these people up?
Right. So they're running around on this guy's direction, and he's taking too long to make these decisions because he's freaking out. So they get themselves to the feed store. Feed store's burned down, and now at this point they're just trying to escape this wall of zombies, basically, that's coming towards them closer and closer. They get themselves in a dead end. Why there are all these fenced in dead end streets or alleyways in the city, I do not know. It's all chain link fence though.
Right.
So they get trapped in they're stuck on this dumpster. The last scene that we see here is, the last scene from this group.
Right.
Is Nicholas goes into his little trance. Glenn's trying to figure out how to get off this dumpster while there's literally thousands of zombies around them. And he says, Nicholas, snap back too. And Nicholas looks at him and says, "Thank you." And I don't know, there's been debate on what this thank you means, whether it's, saying, thank you for giving me a second chance. Because Glenn rightfully should have killed him way off.
Glenn should have killed him a couple times. Like, he was just being a dumbass, like, altogether.
Right. So what that thank you was for, I'm not certain. His thank you hits his gun to his head and shoots him in the head. And people said, "Oh no, Nicholas, this is another instance of Nicholas being a coward." Well, yeah. I don't know that that's necessarily being a coward, though. I mean, he knew. Some people said, well, maybe he knew that he would die, that it would be a way for him to not be turned into a zombie. He's taking his own fate in his hands here. It's hard, like you said. You don't know that you would be able to kill yourself.
Right.
It's not necessarily a cowardly thing to do. And maybe he thought he was giving Glenn, I'll go into the sea of zombies, they'll be distracted, and Glenn can get his way out of here. We don't know what his thinking really was in this instance. But at any rate, it doesn't go off that way. He falls. Glenn catches him, kind of. I mean, it looks like he puts his arms out.
He falls. It looks like he falls after he shoots him. He shoots himself.
And he falls forward into Glenn. And Glenn puts his arms out almost
to try to catch him. And that's kind of probably bad
thinking
form.
On Glenn's
like, you should
part.
Sidestep that. Thrust her back to the right. Get out of the way.
But anyway, so he falls on top of Glenn, and this is an important fact to note too when you're reading what's going on. Falls on top of Glenn. We see Glenn's face. The way they shoot this is very intentional. They've even mentioned it in. I've read some articles that they've talked about with Greg Nicotero on this scene about shooting this particular scene. That they only shot Glenn's face. You see intestines, and this is something else that someone is saying. Intestines aren't in your chest. Okay, well, they could have been passing the intestines around, but you do see intestines. You see a lot of blood, but we do know that Nicholas's body was on top of Glenn's.
Right.
So is that Nicholas's entrails that we're seeing?
Right. I'm pretty sure that's Nicholas's entrails, but at the end of the day,
how does he get out of that?
How do you get out of that? And I mean, there was a couple.
Someone has also brought up the fact that they were they were going to catch that place on fire using a flare gun. So Glenn, even running into that alleyway, had that flare gun in his hand.
Right.
So is there something he can do to utilize that flare gun?
I think any big movement and or sound like a flare gun is going to fire off. I mean, yeah, it's going to attract them that way, but like you're going to have to like pull your arm out and shoot it. I mean, I don't know if you'd be better off just to lay there and be like, okay, let's just hope they don't eat through him and get to me.
Right, and somehow slide him. Someone else has mentioned the fact that there was room underneath the dumpster. I mean, it is a chain link fence. Is there a hole under that dumpster? Is there some can you pry it away?
There are cheaply built chain link fences don't have a bottom bar. So if you build it the correct way, you put a bottom bar and then you chain the bottom of the bar so it's, you can't move it. But if it's a cheaply built one, which it very well could have been, you can grab it and bend it up and squeeze out. The only problem with that is there was zombies on the other side of the fucking fence too. That's because there was a door that they tried, like to the left of the dumpster, there was a door that they tried to go to, and all of a sudden, they peel away the paper or the plastic, and there's more zombies. So like. The one thing that's going to kill me is if this Sunday it opens up with Glenn, that will piss me off. I feel like he's either dead, or if we will see him return in the season finale, like he'll be the big savior or something like that, and then we'll get a flashback story of what happened between now and then. They better not pay this off next episode.
I don't know.
I really
it'll
hope
be
they
interesting.
don't.
I know they did say. Even during Talking Dead, and this was a big thing too, during Talking Dead, he was not listed as someone who died.
Right, he wasn't listed in the little
which is a
cutscene.
pretty big giveaway, which is kind of odd though too. Like you would think that they would put him there even if he did die,
right.
So as not to give it away, because clearly they want us to think that he's dead.
Right, so I'm kind of in two different modes. I really, I don't want him to die. I don't want him to be dead. I didn't want him to die because I really like the character, and we should have known something was up when he was talking to Rick and said, "Good luck, dumbass," or whatever. We should have saw something was up. But
and when he takes out Herschel's pocket watch,
right,
when he's in the pet store,
right. So like there was definitely some send off moments in there, but like I said, if they pay this off with him rolling underneath the dumpster and the walkers, walking away, or whatever the case may be.
I don't think it's going to be easy or instantaneous.
Yeah.
And I think that they're too good of storytellers to tell it in such a way like, oh, here it is. Like, they're not going to just hand it to us.
See,
Scott M. Gimple even said, because he sent a letter to Walking Dead.
I think was it Nicotero?
I thought it was Gimple.
Okay, either way.
But yeah, that even said that this story for Glenn isn't over.
Right.
In some way, shape, or form, whether we're going to either see Glenn or pieces of Glenn or something, like somehow this will be wrapped up.
Which hopefully, like I said, I want this to be a cliffhanger that lasts just till this end of this episode, or end of this series, or not season. I don't want this to be like, everything's all better now. Yay. You know what I mean? Like,
I don't know.
Because
I want things to be all better.
Because it was and they're notorious for leaving us on cliffhangers. Like the last episode with them at the jail, they didn't know where Judith was because the car seat was empty.
The prison,
yeah. So like that was you had a whole off season to think about that one. This one, I think it'll be perfectly timed if they do it with the season finale,
or even halfway through the half season.
Right. But I'm just worried because next episode is 90 minutes long. And I have a feeling that they're going to...
It is, but it looks like it's going to be very Morgan heavy.
Oh, really? So let's talk about Morgan. So I put on here...
really? You don't want to talk about Rick trapped in the
okay, we talk
RV about, which actually segues perfectly into Morgan.
Okay, we'll talk about Rick first.
I don't know.
We'll talk about Rick first.
Okay.
So Rick... he pulls up on the first. He gets the RV back at the orange balloon, the one checkpoint or whatever, and drives it. I think he was trying to head off the herd that was coming back down the mountain or down the side towards Alexandria. So he's gonna stop them and try and kind of do like a take two with what Sasha and what's the one dude, the red hair. God, what's the guy? Abraham. So like trying to do like a take two of that and corral him back up. We need to finish the job, let the people back at home take care of that. So he stops, turns off the ignition, which I don't know if that was such a good idea in hindsight. I mean, in this world of zombies, I don't think I would ever turn off a vehicle that is already running. Yeah, you might run out of... I mean, if you're going to run out of gas,
right.
You shouldn't be in that vehicle anyway. You know what I mean? Like,
right.
Unless that thing is on E and you're like, okay, I got to conserve fuel. But basically, two people break into the RV and there's a brawl, and of course Rick destroys them.
Yeah, but then he sees a whole bunch more outside. And
he kills them without a second, thought about it.
But the interesting way that segues into Morgan's story too, is the fact that he rummages through the body or the belongings of the one person who was on there, and there's a jar of baby food
from Alexandria.
Right, and that's one thing. That's one reason that he even went to Alexandria in the first place. Is what's his face? The guy who was out looking for them. The guy who brought them to Alexandria. I can't think of his name. Anyway,
Thomas?
No, I don't think so.
I don't know. I can look it up while you're talking.
He told Rick, look, we have I think he even brought a jar of baby food. But it's a safe. It's a great place for your kids. They're gonna grow up, living a life that you would want your kids to live in. And the baby food was kind of Aaron, right? The baby food was kind of the tipping point, I think, the one symbolic thing that kind of got Rick to go along with it. And here is this wolf who has a jar of baby food. So that leaves Rick kind of wondering, where did he get this? Did he come from Alexandria? What's going on at home? Because he doesn't know what's going on at home. They know the horn blast came from there.
Right. And gunfire.
And now they're hearing gunfire. So clearly something's bad going on. Are my kids okay?
Right.
And now the RV's stuck, and here comes this horde of zombies.
Which it cuts the last scene cuts, and it has all the zombies not quite surrounding it, just on the one side of it. I mean, he's got a way to get out. I mean, he could probably climb up through this. There was a sunroof, like AC thing that he could crawl through to be on the roof, and he's gonna be safe one way or the other. It's just gonna be, the horn isn't going off anymore. So the problem is he going to be a bigger distraction than what the horn was? Right. And, and all in my opinion, I think all the zombies are going to, surround him. He's got a walkie-talkie. I have a feeling that
no one on the other end everyone else on the other ends are dead.
No.
Except for possibly Glenn.
No, not Glenn.
Daryl.
Daryl's got one, and so does they all have one. The guys in the car, Sasha and what's his name? Abraham. They both have one. So I don't know why they didn't answer, but anyway, and actually Daryl knows he was in trouble because the last thing he heard was gunfire coming from his radio. So Daryl knows he's in trouble.
Right.
But I have a feeling that if we are truly seeing Rick in this, I will do anything to keep my team alive or my group alive, he will distract that herd to surround him on that RV. He won't sacrifice himself, but he will become the distraction to stop them from going, until he gets help to corral.
We'll see what happens.
Yeah. So.
But that will be interesting. But the whole reason that he got attacked basically was Morgan's fault.
Right. And my question is, does Morgan impose some type of threat to the group because of his non-lethal? This is, I think, the third time that it's bit us in the ass. The first time was with the group when he got attacked. He locked them in a car. And those guys actually came, those same two were back in Alexandria, and he was fighting them. Then you've got the group that he met up with and got Aaron's husband, or how did they get Aaron's back? Oh, no, he dropped Aaron's. Aaron lost his backpack, and that's how the wolves found Alexandria in the first place. Right. Was the pictures the pictures that he was carrying around to kind of help bring people in. And then also the thing with Rick and the baby food or whatever. If he would have killed those people, Rick would have never ran into the issue of that. I mean, he still would have stopped the car and the.
Right, but yeah, well, and then he let people go. I mean, he had a whole bunch of Alexandrians. He could have killed them, but he let them go, and he let them go with a gun.
I think wasn't that the group that met up with Rick?
Yeah, it was.
Which now are dead. So they ultimately were dead at one way or the other, But Morgan's actions are really kind of hurting a lot of other people. And I think once Rick gets back, I think there's going to be a council meeting. I think Rick is going to be welcomed back into the council, so to speak. But what's her name? Short-haired chick, Carol. I think Carol will talk to him about Morgan and. Because I don't think she sees eye to eye with Morgan at all.
No, they don't.
I think
they don't get along at all.
And I think Carol sees him as a threat and a loose end that is going to get someone that has got people killed.
Yeah, he has. He already has.
I don't know.
I think this next episode is going to be more Morgan centric, and we're going to see more of why he is the way he is now, though.
I just don't get it. I really don't. I don't if you're in this people don't change. People don't if you are a crazed lunatic in this world where there is no government, there are no laws, there's it's all shut down. If you're this, I'm gonna go in and murder all these people type of attitude. You can't let people live. They're not just gonna walk up and you know what? Turns out that was a bad idea. Maybe we shouldn't do that anymore. No, they're gonna be like, hey, we got food from that place. Let's go back. There's still people breathing in those walls. We need to go finish them off. So, I don't know. It was a good 2 episodes though. What do you think?
Yeah.
So you think next episode's gonna be Morgan heavy?
That's all the advertisements have been solely Morgan.
There's got to be like a in between type of stuff too. Like they can't just be like they're gonna tell like a flashback type of deal. Excuse me. Wow.
All right.
Anyway, all right. So let's wrap it up. It was a good episode. Sorry we were late, but little man would not go to sleep. But anyway, so next week we'll talk about some more Walking Dead, and we'll probably maybe we'll get a review in for Halo 5 and all that stuff. We got Fallout 4 coming out on November 10th. And so it begins the gaming season when everything comes out all at once.
Mm-hmm.
Anyway, all right, guys. Well, I appreciate you guys watching. You can always watch us live on twitch.tv/BC podcast. We go live every Wednesday. About 8 o'clock is our scheduled time, but sometimes it's a little bit later. Head over, if you want to follow me on Twitter. I send out a reminder when we do go live. You can search me at BC Podcast. Our YouTube channel is youtube.com/72DPI online. It's our clan's YouTube page where we archive all of our past shows. And then let's see here. Next week, Magic Vice and I will be doing Mana Drained episode number 6 on Tuesday at 8 p.m. And then we'll be back here for 179 on Wednesday at 8 p.m. So I want to really thank you guys for watching, and we'll see you later.
Good night.